And then I also...
We were so innocent.
I know, truly. And I was also young and idiotic, so that helped.
Hey fam, welcome to Did I Do That Season 5. Guys, burgers and fries. It's a podcast about graphic designers and all the cringe Ohio we eat on the way to cooking up something that low-key slaps, like a Five Guys burger and or fry, because it's all part of the process. I'm Sean Schumacher, and joining me today, a very special guest. They're a multidisciplinary creative who's worked with clients big and small, including Tom's, Adidas, the ACLU, Nike, and Schmitz. They've made murals, art-directed projects, and produced events, among other things. And, most recently, their play Sluthaby's live auction recently premiered at the Coho Theater here in Portland. Did I say that right?
Sluthaby's, baby. You got it.
Sluthaby's. That's another thing I should have checked on. It's Libby Landauer. Hi.
Hello.
So great to have you here on
Thank you.
Probably the last sunny day we're going to get before, I would say March, if I had to guess.
All right. Yeah, that's a real bummer, but you're probably right. And don't feel bad about messing up Sluthaby's. It is something that I tripped over about 1,000 times the first time I was trying to put my show together.
Well,
so
it looks great on paper. And
absolutely. And it's not so easy on the tongue, is it? No.
Well, most things aren't, such as that entire intro that I just did. Libby, I've been trying to do over the course of season 5 a little integrated brand marketing on a voluntary basis with Five Guys. I've been trying to get them to sponsor the show by giving them free airtime, which they have elected not to use or acknowledge.
Wow, their loss.
Yeah, so I'm not really raking in the dough like I maybe thought I was going to be from season 5's Five Guys integration. Over the course of making content week after every other week, I have realized that in talking about Five Guys as much as I have this season, have become the design podcasting world's #1 Five Guys influencer.
Okay, congratulations. That's huge for you.
Take that, Debbie Millman. Take that, Roman Mars. Chris Doe? I don't think Chris Doe's talking about Five Guys basically at all. Has that been enough for Five Guys to see me, though? The answer is no. And this week, as I was sort of prepping to put out my most recent episode with Melissa Delzio, I realized there is a thing that has been holding me back in this quest that has come up, I will say, a number of times, and it is time to rectify it. And that thing that's been holding me back is that I have not eaten at Five Guys Burgers and Fries even one time. It just seemed like...
My friend, so what brought you on this Five Guys journey if you didn't desire more Five Guys?
That's a great question. So I would say, have I been in it? Yes, absolutely. Did I find it to be a bummer each time I had to do it as a Uber Eats driver? Absolutely. But it's still a big, blind spot, you might say. So this past Wednesday, that all changed. And I have in my hands my receipt for my Five Guys purchase.
I really have to point out for those at home, Sean has receipts.
Oh, I brought the receipts, truly making me an influencer in that way. I was order number 71 that day, although it was almost 3:00 in the afternoon, so I don't think that Five Guys is doing super hot business.
Can't be good.
That seems a little low. And I had done a little research beforehand because I do try to keep things mostly vegan. What are the things that I could eat at Five Guys? Not much. So I did get both of them, which is one little fry and one regular soda. So that set me back just over $9.
$9?
Uh-huh. I gave a $1.51 tip because of the good work. But still, that without that tip, that is $7.58 for those two.
I had no idea
items.
It was so expensive. I have to be honest, I haven't eaten there since 2011.
Yeah. At which point I feel like it was marketed as sort of the inexpensive fast food restaurant. The like, we're cutting all costs and that's why it looks as bad as it does.
But it's funny because my best friend and I had a bit about Five Guys in that time as well.
Wait,
we
did
had
you
an
really?
ongoing bit about Five Guys. It was just like, is there a Five Guys here? It was really stupid. We would say it a lot. So it's actually, you know, it really is fun that you also have decided to have a little fun with Five Guys. I don't know what about them. They're begging to be made fun of.
There's something odd about Five Guys, and I've yet to fully parse what it is.
Well, first of all, it's Five Guys.
Yeah, there's
doing what?
making burgers and fries, presumably. Although the Five Guys salaries have all gone way, way up.
Yeah, big time.
That's 5 CEOs is just too many CEOs. It's holding the company back. But yeah. So the little fry is the smallest fry you can get. That was almost $5. And the regular soda, I will say, I don't know if there was an extra cost to this. I did go for the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine because
that's cool.
You know, you can get a Coca-Cola Freestyle soda.
You
and
have
that's
to.
magical.
Yeah, you have to. So what'd you do? What kind of magic did you make?
I should have made more magic than I did because the magic that I made was noticing that there was Dr. Pepper in it and being like, Dr. Pepper is not owned by Coca-Cola. So I don't know what Dr. Pepper was doing in there, but I saw Dr. Pepper and I'm like, you know, I feel like a pepper today. And then I got the cherry vanilla, which someone pointed out to me also has notes of cherry and vanilla in it already.
Oh,
so
that's true.
The effect I would say is that both of those sort of canceled each other out. And so I was left with the other things that are in Dr. Pepper, the 11 secret herbs and spices.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not, was somehow gritty, but not in texture, if that makes any sense.
That's scary.
Like if you were drinking sand, but sand that was fully liquefied and sort of spicy. So yeah, not great. Also not great, the vibes in the Lloyd Center Five Guys, as would be expected.
Yeah.
So I elected not to eat within the restaurant, and I walked to Lloyd Center Mall.
Yes.
Our beloved scary mall that is almost completely empty, but it's so wonderful. I bring it up because it was recently called on one of the podcasts that I listened to, the scariest mall in America, which it is not.
You don't understand her.
Absolutely not. It is.
She is not that scary. I am so offended by this. No.
I also felt like I was a little attacked
you know
by that
what?
podcast.
Sometimes you're a little empty. You're a little low. That doesn't mean you're scary.
No. And
you're going through a transitional period.
Honestly, like, I think the Ross most recently was the store that left. And I think actually the store is maybe better for that because that Ross was an even bigger bummer than a Five Guys location. But like, that's the cool mall. That's where cool things are happening.
I agree.
So I set myself up in the food court next to the ice skating rink so I could watch the ice skating happen and ate my, little fry, which honestly pretty good.
Okay.
Gotta say, I have to imagine it's probably the same as it was in 2011.
I hope.
Unless they've shrinkflated it in addition to raising the price 800% in that time.
That's totally wild. They really are. They're really going for it. They've gotta get themselves together and re-strategize because that is one of the most obscene prices I've ever heard.
Yeah, and
a fry and soda.
I've been thinking a lot about the price because that is the thing that really drew me to Five Guys initially. Is just like how strange these prices are, and I have to think it's that during the pandemic, people were ordering through those Uber Eats services that were marking them up so much. And they just realized like, oh, people just pay whatever. So we could just charge whatever. And that's an incredible strategy in capitalism that has really made our country so
strong.
So strong and so powerful.
Yeah.
Every time I buy toilet paper, I get to think of that over and over again. Just the incredible things that strategy has wrought.
Yes.
You can just charge whatever and people have to pay it if you need it. So Five Guys, that's how Five Guys got to be what they are. But yeah, I feel like the best part of my experience was going to Lloyd Center Mall, and the worst part of my experience was drinking the bad soda.
the Coca-Cola freestyle machine.
Well, and to be fair, you freestyled yourself right into that.
I really did. I mean, I know there are worse things you can do with one of those. Like, if anyone out there listening doesn't know what a Coca-Cola freestyle machine,
oh my God, wake up.
Get yourself to a Five Guys, because they've got them all over the place. They are basically, if you've had the experience as a little kid of going to like the 7-Eleven and getting a big gulp cup and going like, oh, mom's not looking, I could just like run this under all the sodas.
Yeah, go wild.
And then you drink it and it's like, oh, I know why people don't do this. It's bad. That's sort of the whole intention of the Coca-Cola freestyle machine.
That's the freestyle experiment at work.
Fully just like integrated into one probably $3,000 unit.
I mean, it really is the American dream. Is for every freedom to exist and to make the worst decisions when given those freedoms.
Oh my God, it really is. It is the epitome of what America can be.
It's beautiful.
Truly, freedom has never felt freer thanks to Coca-Cola freestyle and the power of Five Guys.
Can I suggest that you sort of try to get freestyle to be your your ad now?
If it were not integrated into the Coca-Cola company, which I know to be a fully professional organization,
I understand.
Doesn't have 3 interns managing their Facebook page the way the Five Guys seems to. Look, we were
lose a little magic when you don't have those interns.
I think so. I mean, like I was bringing this up last week, but we found the Facebook page for Five Guys, and it is almost exclusively people asking for there to be a Five Guys in Barstow, California.
Where the heck is Barstow?
Barstow, if you need to go on a road trip between LA and Las Vegas and you need the place to go to the bathroom that's halfway in between, that is Barstow, California.
Right on.
What other features does it have? None.
Good.
It has a big in and out, but
that's a feature.
I mean, I guess they're hoping that a Five Guys would also be competitive there. I don't think so, though. But yeah, like all those comments are not getting moderated out, which really suggests that there's an institutional problem. Five Guys does not know what an ad agency is and could not afford
them.
one. No,
that's actually so beautiful.
Yeah, truly. They're the last mom and pop and pop and pop and pop and pop. I think that's 5. Fast food chain out there. So yeah, Five Guys, we're running out of time. Get at me, please. Now I've eaten at your restaurant. I've put my own skin in this game. Yeah. Please, there's one episode left. But Libby, I don't think you came here to listen to my desperate pleas for Five Guys to sponsor this podcast.
Well, now I'm here, and I'm here for it.
You sort of came here to talk through your career arc. Where did you sort of start like learning about design and start getting into like creative stuff?
So I originally was a painter in my first college days, and my best friend, who then I lived with for like 7 years, was a graphic designer. So he was always in the design sphere. I always was like, oh, those guys are doing their thing over there. I really didn't pay it much attention. And then we moved to New York, and I was working for galleries, a curatorial studio that did like public art installations. And I really enjoyed the space of being in an artistic world, but I hated that actually what it means is that you're doing a lot of like tracking and administrative tasks, and like it's actually just not very creative at all, unless you're like the main curator who gets to do a lot of writing and creative thinking around, you know, all sorts of things. But
I would say that's a very common misconception folks have about arts organizations.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's just a bunch of creative people and there's no really, you really have to have things on lock in order for stuff to work.
For like the first 6 months of that job, I was just sitting at the framers, like making sure the right sticker was going on the back of the frame so that it would be delivered to the right place. And I was like, this is so boring. I did like see a lot of really cool art and like, it was fascinating in its own way, but also was really boring. I was like, I am not being creative at all.
No.
And I was seeing what my friend was doing at work, and I was like, at least you're making aesthetic decisions.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my reason for doing it, is I was trying to see what my other peers were doing. And I was like, it is impossible in this city to, besides being like an art assistant for a famous artist, where then you're just like grueling hours doing, I don't know, cleaning brushes and stuff. And that's not very aesthetically driven either.
It sounds worse, actually, than just making sure the right stickers are going on the right paintings.
So I was like, how can I just be a little more creative with my day? And so I went back to school and got a graphic design degree. And at that time, I was like really thinking of it as a pivot, but then realized, oh, this is such a good tool for me because I'm involved in all of these other creative practices like theater and, you know, like underground art stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I can market these events more effectively than we have been. And I can, you know, communicate in a way that is new and exciting to me. So I felt like, oh, now this is a tool I have. And it never really sunk in as like, oh, I love this thing. I was just like, oh, I can do more stuff that I want to do because I have it.
Yeah, this is like unlocking your creative potential to do all this multidisciplinary stuff.
Yes, totally.
It becomes the glue that's holding it all together.
Exactly.
So like New York City, like that's a New York City.
New York City.
I like how there's so many different ways.
Any way you say it, baby, New York City.
As an accusatory cowboy, as a, you know, sort of longtime theater impresario, there's New York City. It can be said in so many different ways, but like there's a ton of schools there. Where do you end up like deciding to go?
I went to Parsons, which was very cool.
That's one of the newest schools there is, as the name suggests.
Yes, the newest school for design.
Their tagline is the new school, in case anyone's wondering. That's why.
I did it because they had a professional program and I could do it in 3 semesters.
Hey.
And I was like, that would be great because I don't want to be in school forever again.
No.
I just really want a job where I'm creative.
And
so
you'd already gotten your degree in painting.
Yes, in painting with, you know, concentrations in theater and art history. An incredibly useful degree. One of the most useful you can have.
Well, you're already like setting yourself up for multidisciplinarian status.
Yeah.
But this is becoming the glue.
Yeah.
So like what do you end up doing when you get to Parsons? Like,
you know, did a lot of my projects were based off of drag stuff. So I was like very into the underground drag community in Brooklyn at the time.
Which is huge, I would have to think.
It was a really cool time. It was kind of a golden era for drag and like underground art. It was just like such a playful time. And, you know, it was before we really were in a fascist state. It was a beautiful time. And then I also...
We were so innocent.
I know, truly. And I was also young and idiotic, so that helped. And then I was also really involved with also aging and like really a strange moment in feminist history. But I was also drawn to be a part of the vagina monologues because I was like, oh, I want more like collaboration in my life, and I want more theater.
Yeah.
And I was just hanging out with all the gay men, and I was just like, I need some other kinds of folks in my life. And so I was drawn to do the vagina monologues, where honestly I met some of like my best friends in the world, and now we all like are in shame that we did this like you know, like second wave feminism, like kind of really cringy stuff. But it allowed us to then, you know, make more shows together and create a network of like-minded people that felt really, really great. So then I ended up doing a bunch of stuff for that as well. So basically I was like, I'm in school and now I use my school work time to do marketing for my other projects.
That's fascinating. So you're really like, you are already creating the machine to like support your practice like within school.
Yeah. Well, also, you know, going back to school as an adult, you're like, I don't want to do a school project for the sake of a school project.
Yeah.
It was like, that just seems silly to me. And I, of course, had to do some of those, but I really was like, how can I best use my time?
But I think there is absolutely something to that. And when I think about like, well, what is the secret sauce of our program? It's like we were basically a continuing ed school for many years. And, you know, I think for a lot of folks in the similar boat with, you know, like bachelor's degrees and other stuff, and you come back, you're driven. You want to do something. And so the abstract project that means nothing and has no context. Make a rectangle the most expressive it could be.
Oh my gosh,
that's not gonna be interesting.
Yes. Yes.
That has no practical implications at all.
Yeah.
Unless you're advertising rectangles, in which case, wow, what an agency you must run to be able to get the account for rectangles.
Yes. I mean,
I've been pitching on circles, and I feel like I'm not getting any headway.
Rectangles haven't had a fresh face in years, so honestly,
yeah. Well,
it's time.
I think this is our chance to really redefine what a rectangle can be. And I'm just going to pitch this. Fifth side. I know. I'm already in the 5 sort of circle, but like, what if? Right? What if we unpack what a rectangle is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't have to have rules.
Here's another pitch. Squares, technically also rectangles.
Well, we love that.
Let's
That's
bring
a classic
square into the
back.
mix.
Yes.
Let's go classic. I don't know. But yeah, that's so you're like trying to figure out how to merge these parts of your practice together.
Yes.
What sorts of work do you do for the drag shows? Like, what are you?
Oh, for the drag shows, I'm not doing as much. I guess like doing some posters, doing some like design for costuming, like stupid shirts and stuff. Fake menus. I don't know. It just really, I also was sort of a paid party girl at that time where like I was a host, and if I got people to come to the party, then I was paid.
Wow.
It was really a golden time for me, I would say. And so I would, have my friends come, and then we would get like free champagne, and then I would get like $100 to go to the party.
That's fascinating.
A 23-year-old is a dream.
Yeah. You are integrating work and fun.
And that is my goal always, I would say. I would say fun is my ultimate goal. And also truly, I am a very social person, and collaborating with people, just having one-on-one time and understanding people's experience is what I love most about life. And so I've always found a way to make that happen.
Now, I know you brought in some of the poster work.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. So this is for a group show called Snatch Tag.
Great name. I like this. I have no idea what's going on.
I don't either. I could never tell you what was going on inside my brain when I made that.
So to describe this is sort of a person in a suit, like wearing earrings.
It's sort of like I think it's like a woman doctor or businesswoman of some kind. It's a professional woman.
Is it a stock photo?
Yes, okay. Certainly a stock photo.
So she's pointing at sort of up, just sort of generally up. And she got a sly look on her face, like maybe she's up to something too. And then there's, I would say, a layer of sort of dots with lines connecting them in sort of a pattern, and I'm not really sure what that is signifying, but I
think maybe if I were to guess what my brain 12 years ago was thinking, I think that maybe they were various ideas that you're sort of catching in the ether.
Oh, interesting. So this is maybe like an early version of that meme where the lady has
oh my gosh, 100%
equations on her face.
Yes.
So
I think you're right.
I mean, now knowing that, like, this is an innovation.
Thank you.
And those are sort of going even off the edge of this artboard. And then Snatch Tag in cream with sort of a light blue shadow on it. So like, I definitely would not know what this event is from this.
No.
What is Snatch Tag? What did that end up being?
I think it was just like a group variety show.
So maybe that's actually good then.
Yeah, because there wasn't really a theme, I don't think. I think it was just like 5 different people doing something.
Yeah.
And truly those things were very disparate ideas. So I can see how it'd be like, I don't know how to.
Got to be as abstract as possible.
Yeah.
Pointing, dotted lines connected together. but also all disconnected from each other, and then
Yeah.
snatch tag.
Yeah, so I think it's more about vibe than anything else.
You know what? That's probably the right move. That's probably the right move. So, I mean, you're not setting expectations broadly. That's a good skill set to be showing off in these.
Yeah, and then this is really bad stuff. Like this one, I'm like, I'm not sure what's happening, and I don't know like how I got to there. You know, I'm like, I'm as confused as you. But this one, I say, oh, I see exactly what I was trying to do, and it breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you've fallen prey to the allure of justified type and breaking words across lines that are really... What does this even say? The
vagina monologues.
This says the vagina monologues.
Yes, this in fact for the vagina monologues. And then the parentheses holding, the giant parentheses holding it all together.
I think that now that I know what it says, I understand.
You understand the concept.
I understand. But when I was presented with line one being THEVA, that's
hard.
It makes me think that this is sort of a company called Thieva, maybe. Sort of, we're trying to like, you know, sort of like it's a startup in the thieving space. So if you need some thieving to happen, Thieva, like, well, there's like a cost, of course, associated with it, but we'll get some guys. And
of course, I mean, it's sort of like you get 10%.
Exactly.
But thieving is not easy work.
No, thieving is very hard.
So let Thieva help you.
Let specifically Gina M from Thieva, which is what the next line says.
There are other versions of this that I found where I did finally figure out that they should be different colors, the words. And I said, good job, Libby, good job. But this version really stood out as something I needed to show you.
No, I am so glad because like but it's such a thing that is so perennial too.
Yes.
This like we can run the words to just make a square shape and then forget about legibility.
Yes.
And then that's really hard when the name that you're trying to typeset is the vagina monologues.
I know.
Fully like a 25 letter. There also it's a Facebook. So this would have still been
I think this is
2014.
2014. Is it 2014?
2014
okay.
is
I think
January 30th.
I think I did my first one in like 2012.
Yeah.
And then so that makes sense. It was like the end of my design or the middle of my design semesters.
Yeah. It's so fascinating to think though that this was, I guess this would have been the tail end of the era where like all events had to have a Facebook event page.
It was all Facebook.
And that was all.
There was no Instagram.
No, there was
Can you
no.
believe it?
I kind of missed that a little bit, but then I also know what Facebook became, which is.
It's neither is great, but.
No. One is much worse than the other though. One makes me sadder to look at. So many people need to salute the non-existent old man on his birthday.
Oh my God. I don't
have
Facebook anymore except for like a fake account I use for Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace, the only thing that Facebook exists for.
So now it's a beautiful space for me where oh my gosh, I have to show you actually something that I found on Facebook Marketplace the other day.
Please.
Because for me, it is actually a really safe space, Facebook Marketplace, because I have nothing except for... except for just shopping. But I found...
Oh, you're lucky then, because I have like 5 years of very dumb posts from age 22 to 26.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I deleted all my dumb posts. I had to, that one had to go. It was so embarrassing. What were we thinking? Anyway, so I found on Facebook Marketplace last week, after the election, a rock that is painted like Trump's head.
What?
And it was marked at $50,000. And then they marked it down to, what is it, $100?
$100.
And so I've never reached out just for inquiring for not to buy something, but I had to ask, why did you mark it down from $50,000? And they answered, why not? I was like, what is happening with this rock? It's 4 inches. It's not big.
No, it's not.
And it's not good.
It's not very well shaped. The depiction is not effective. I get who it is, but yeah, the why not is so
it's
powerful.
Amazing. It's amazing.
This is, hey, you know what? I know we have a lot of designers who do listen to this show. If you need a pricing tip, if your client ever like asks why have you changed your prices?
Try why not?
Try why not.
Yeah.
Just say why not. And
I mean, it shut me up. I'll say that. Did I buy it? No, but I am satisfied with that answer.
Do you think anyone has bought it?
No, I check on it every day. I have to know what happens to this rock.
Listeners, you can go out and find this rock still then probably and pay $100 or $50,000.
We'll see where they're at.
Yeah, it's going to be one
or the other. It's a volatile market for this rock, so we aren't sure where it's going to be when you're listening, but you could get a screaming deal.
Yeah, maybe the magic that powered it before just suddenly let out of the world.
I'm like, wouldn't it be more valuable now that he won the presidency again?
Well, maybe tariffs. I don't know. Something like that.
None of this makes sense, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
No, Facebook Marketplace is a glorious place, and I am so lucky that you found maybe the strangest thing that I've ever seen on there. And I've seen some real weird stuff looking for recording equipment.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, recording nerds have got to have weird stuff.
They have a lot of weird stuff and a lot of foam that is definitely had mice living in it. We already have a rat problem with this building. We don't need to be introducing mice into it.
No, but that does make sense.
Yeah, they're after the giant hot dog is the thing. But yeah, so you're working on getting these posters out there as you're finishing up your degree. Like,
yes.
How do you, I guess, finish your degree and what do you do next? Yeah,
so then I finish and it's a really bad time to get a job in New York. Basically, everyone I know has had a lot of bad luck. Is not finding that much good stuff, is sort of like people I went to school with. A few people got good jobs and some people were like, well, I guess I'll go back to what I was doing before.
Is this, wow, really?
In 2014. And so I'm like doing some stuff, but it's like really not like working out that well. Also, I'm directing a play that for the grace of God doesn't happen because my father dies.
Oh,
truly,
no.
It's okay. Truly, thank you for dying. This play was so bad. We wrote the worst play that's ever been written.
No.
And so it's supposed to go on for like a 3-night run or something. And I'm like, I have to go back and like see my dad.
Yeah.
And so we call it off. That happens. My dad dies. And I kind of am like having a moment where I'm like, what am I doing? I like had gone, I'm originally from Colorado. So when I went back to see him, I was back in the nature and I was like, New York is kind of killing me, low key. Like, I'm just not getting out of the city that much. I had newly fallen in love and he was sort of like, I want to get out of here too. And so we both one day were like, should we just move? And I was like, I would be down. I mean, I can't really find a job here. LOL, on our way out here, I get a message from Pentagram finally. Thank you, come in for your interview. And I'm like, wow, I could have been working at a really cool place. Anyway, it's fine. I think I would have hated it.
Yeah, that's a fast-paced environment.
Yes.
Especially Pentagram in like 14. They're doing, that's probably like the height of.
Yeah, it was wild. One other of my peers went and worked there and he was like, it was horrible. So you did a good thing.
You made the right choice.
Yeah. But anyway, so we kind of were like, let's go. His family lives out here. And so I guess not anymore. Anyway, he doesn't live here. His family doesn't live here. But anyway, we ended up here. And it was kind of random on my part. Like nothing really was for me here except for that I was like, it seems like it's sort of a nice combination of Colorado and New York.
Yeah, it's, it's like a little bit more urban probably than most of Colorado.
Yeah.
And, you still got the nature. You still got the cold.
Totally.
Got plenty of that.
But it was a great move for me. I feel like New York is such a me and here is such a we environment. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I vibe with here. I love it here. and immediately started getting jobs, like freelance stuff. And then my freelance job that I was in, they were like, you have to go to the Nike campus because we gotta, like, someone needs to be there. And then I ended up just working at Nike.
Wow.
Because they just sort of like scooped me, and I was like, okay, well, now I work at Nike. Not for me. I'm just not a sports guy. I just don't care that much about Nike to work that hard.
I think you really have to care very deeply.
Yeah, and it just, the team I was on, I was like, this is just not a good fit for me. Like, I had to say yes to it at the time because, I was a young designer. I was like, I accidentally ended up with a full-time job here. This is good. I should say yes to this. But after a while, I said, no, this is not actually very good for me and my values. And so I ended up working on retainer for the ACLU, which was a much better fit.
Yeah.
And then, was doing like freelance projects outside of that. So that got me into like my freelance groove. And so I'm very thankful for the ACLU to have like those first few years, like being such a great client and, doing things I cared about. So that felt really nice. And then I did Fruit Salad Club with Jillian Barthold.
Yes, which is how we initially met through Show and Tell, which like Fruit Salad Club presented at many years ago now.
Yes, yes. So Fruit Salad Club came out of that. Jillian and I worked together all the time, like next to each other, not even on projects together. Just we were best friends and we loved working next to each other. And we both were very invested in community and making sure that artists had a space. And that people had a space to work together and share ideas. So this little tiny place popped up and we were like, should we have a little studio? And so we started renting it and we had, little shows out of there. Like our first show was Jess Ackerman, and like it just was such a sweet space where, like, I don't know, it was such a cute era of Portland where I feel like you could still have a little space and it wasn't like the hugest lift in the world, and it really was amazing. We loved it. And it was the same year Outlet was open too. And so we were just, really, that felt like the vibe of Portland at the time, like open a little thing.
Yeah.
Have a little community space like that. It was really, I think, a call that many felt at the time. And so we were just one of those people who said, we got to do it. And we had so much fun. It was really like such a great time. And it was also really hard to run a multi-faceted space and also try to have projects. And yeah, it was sort of a lot. And like to have a space open to the public requires a lot that I didn't really think about before. And I think it makes you a better person to have to deal with random people who come into your workspace at all times of the day.
You got any art here? Looking for art.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, people are bizarre. People are absolutely wild. The things they will say to you. But yeah, it was really fun. And then Jillian and I got to work on projects together for a long time, which was amazing. She's so talented, and she's an illustrator in town if you don't know her.
Oh yeah, it's done many great illustration projects.
She does it all. She's, Burgerville's girl.
Yeah.
What else? She has so much stuff, but she's an amazing illustrator. So it's really fun to work with her. We don't work together that much anymore, but yeah, she's just so talented and the best. So we had maybe we did it for 2-3 years for Salad Club, and then said, we can't anymore. We've done what we can. It was fun, and we have to not have, public facing space anymore.
Which, I mean, is understandable. It's hard to do. I mean, even, even when we do pop-up markets, say at the Lloyd Center Mall, there is immediately, the problem of like, well, how do you communicate what this space is to people who maybe don't share your values or maybe don't understand what it is or know what they're getting into.
Yeah, and I think when you have a space that is a this/this/this/this/ space and people don't understand, that's fair. You say, I understand why you don't understand. We also are sort of casting a wide net, but it does, make for kind of a, just interesting dynamic in the space. So.
I mean, in fairness to you, though, that's the energy of this city. Like,
totally. Thank you.
If it's not multiple things, then it's not doing its job.
Okay, I love that. Thank you.
Like, I continue many years later to be offended by the 2 girls, 1 shirt shop joke on Portlandia, where it was just one shirt that was being sold. For one, that shop is not going to stay in business very long because that's simply not enough shirts. But also, like, the thing is that there's multiple things being done and sold within the shop.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's a funny thing where, like, the energy is that there are a lot of things happening in different directions.
Yes.
And throughout this time, are you, like, doing other creative projects, like keeping things, like, in the air elsewhere, too?
It's kind of a funny time. I think it's a weird time for me. I'm, like, going through some health stuff. I break up with that partner. I become more gay. That feels good. And I'm really like trying to be a designer and art director and like work on photo shoots and do all sorts of designy things. And I'm having fun. I'm wearing a lot of hats, but nothing feels like quite right. And I'm not doing theater at all.
Really?
I just like stopped. I don't know. I think when I first moved here, I was trying to find the vibe that I fit in, and nothing was really like speaking to me in the same way that the shitty bar of Brooklyn nightlife did.
I guess that makes, because this is less a theater town and more like a dance town.
Yeah, and I love dancing as well. And so I guess I did do a couple dance performances and like poetry stuff. Like I was trying, but nothing was like feeling like it. And so I feel like I was wearing a ton of hats, and some things felt great. You know, like Fruit Salad Club felt like it to me. That felt so fitting for what I wanted to do, because it was a ton of different things. It was people forward. It was community forward. So that was like the most, what am I trying to say?
Is it maybe like the thing that is uniting the most threads for what is driving your heart?
Yeah, totally.
This is sort of grabbing a handful of strings and pulling them together.
Yes, exactly. It is the closest to living my values that I could get. But then the pandemic.
Oh,
a gorgeous part of any story.
We're in the funnest part usually. What was your sort of pandemic pivot?
So basically, a lot of my clients disappeared for one reason or another.
Oh, I understand that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the creative director left at the, wherever I was, or I was like the creative director for a nail salon named High Five in San Francisco for a few years, which was such a fun project with like one of my best friends and was amazing. But that obviously did not work. I mean, we opened the week that the pandemic started, that lockdown started. And so it was just an uphill battle the whole time. It was just so rough. And before that, I'd been going down to San Francisco like every couple months. And that was an amazing project to be part of from start to finish and really be the brand of it with her. And that felt like it also spoke to how I wanted to be in the world and like have more ethical practices for the techies that worked there. And, it really incorporated a lot of great things and was so fun to do a space, like interiors. That would jazz me up.
I've seen some photos of it. It's a really beautiful space.
It was so cute. Yeah, it was so cute. One of the design mistakes I made with that project is there's a sign, or was a sign outside, and it said, "Pop in for a polish." People came in hoping for a hot dog. Not all the time, but like at least 4 times people were like, "You sell Polishes here?"
Hey, I'm looking for a Polish.
Yes.
You got a Polish?
I'm popping in for a Polish. And he was like, "What?" The first time. And then
God, the first time that happens must be
amazing. She called me, like a hyena, just laughing her head off. It was so funny. And then I was like, I got it. Well, too late now. That is what the sign says. Or we have hot dogs as well.
I don't think that's a terrible pivot, honestly.
I mean, we thought about it. We did think about it, but then the food, sanitation laws, it's hard.
There's probably,
trust us, we said, let's look into this.
It's like trying to open a cat cafe in Portland, Oregon, where you cannot have cats in a space that has food. So that's just inherently a broken idea.
Yeah.
I could see why you wouldn't necessarily want to have big, messy hot dogs.
In the nail salon. But it was such a that was, I think, the most fun mistake I've ever made. Because it's not really a big mistake. Like, it's kind of polish is polish. We can't pretend it's anything else.
No, it's
but
this dumb
fun.
language's
yes,
fault,
it's just
ultimately.
like yes. But also the colors are also like there's a lot of ketchup and mustard colors going on in addition to like pinks and like a lighter blue. But there is a ketchup and mustard tinge, so I can see how someone could get there.
And there's all that sauerkraut outside.
Yes.
It's, just who is to know? But yeah, like that's an honest, understandable mistake.
It's an honest mistake. It is. But yeah, so a lot of the projects I was working on ultimately just failed or people left. And so then I was kind of in the spot where I was like, oh no, I don't really know what to do. I have a retainer client magazine, and so I was working on that, and then I was kind of like, I kind of need just like something steady, something else, some purpose. And so my first ever job was at an assisted living care facility, and so I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to the elders. And so I started doing caregiving work, and then I worked at Parks and Rec here doing a bunch of activities for adults with disabilities and elders.
Interesting.
So that's what I had been doing for the past year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Like I finally was like, I'm going to work with the elders, I guess.
I didn't realize that, because we talked about this before the recording. I didn't realize that this was sort of a return to that, though.
Yeah. I mean, it was my first job when I was 16.
Wow.
It was really like a throwback for me.
Yeah.
But I just love elders. I really connect with them. I have a bunch of chronic pain issues, and so I think I've always really connected with them. My dad also, like I said, he passed when I was quite young because he was 56 when he had me. So I grew up with, old people all around me. Like all of his friends were, 90.
Wow, 56 though. That's
too old. Folks, that's too old.
That's probably the age that I would be at this stage having a kid, but I feel too old already.
Yeah, no, I think that it was just, I grew up going, you're not going to be around a long time. I was just like, I'm doing the math and I don't feel confident.
That's a lot of candles on that cake.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I really wanted to get back to something that was people forward, community forward. And I ended up loving it. And so as I was kind of figuring out what to do next, I said, but I am more capable than having, this kind of entry-level job. I just kind of was trying to figure out what path that would be.
Yeah.
And there is this community center that is in my neighborhood that I've passed. And so I kept kind of checking in to see what the deal was. And they were hiring for a program manager. And I'm now a boss. Of the elder space. And it is so funny. I've been there for like 2 months now, and I'm obsessed with it. I have like the best coworkers. Everyone is so sweet. All the elders are absolutely hilarious. And the job is really intense. We have a lot of different services, like food pantries and foot care and case management, but then also fun things like comedy improv and Tai Chi. And so it really is a space where so many different things happen and that we have amazing resources. But yeah, now I'm just like kind of the mother hen of the center, which is such a funny place to be, and also is exactly where I should be.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because that really does unite a lot of the community aspects that like kind of drew you into this to begin with. Like, you are, and we were talking too, like you're part of what you're doing is also redesigning a lot of the materials.
Yes.
Maybe not as requested, more just on a pro bono.
Yeah. I think that there's an opportunity for better accessibility through design.
Absolutely.
But then also, yes, I just want things to look better in the center. And so, I've taken it upon myself to also, do a bit more design than I think that any other program manager in the past has done. But it also, makes me happy to look around and say, oh, look at those flyers. Look at those cohesive flyers over there. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say not one elder has commented on that.
In this town, we don't have any elderly,
these
like
elders don't
graphic
care.
Designers.
I wouldn't say any of these elders are designers.
Well,
maybe one will come in one day.
Maybe it will be me a year from now. At the rate I feel like I'm aging. But that's, I don't know. I think that is that is also such a good reminder to folks of like, you know, just how your creative journey can take you into unexpected places.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you were doing that job at 16, did you ever think that
Oh my
would be
God,
something
no way.
that it has this much meaning to you as
I
well?
mean, I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I love my job more than I've loved my job ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really brings together everything that I care about and am good at, you know, people skills and I guess design and organization and my producer skills from plays. And it just like somehow it's all of those boxes checked. And it is really just funny to say, oh my God, a couple of years ago, I said, I just got to do something. I guess I'll be a caregiver. And I'm just so glad I did it because I really was like, I have to think outside of the box here.
Yeah.
I'm hitting dead ends. I'm applying to all of these design jobs and I'm getting crickets. And I'm like, Elizabeth Brown, my girlfriend, who's also has been on this podcast, who's
Past guest,
incredible designer. She also kept saying to me, you also don't care about design. And I was so annoyed at the time because I was like, you're calling me a bad designer. And then once I stopped, you know, having that be my goal, I was like, you're right. I don't care that much. I care more about other things. But you want to hold on to your accolades. You want to hold on to the thing that you think you are. And it's just so funny. I was like, once I let that go, I found something so much better.
But and that's such an important lesson to like not hold too tightly to the path that you think you're supposed to be on.
Yes.
Because oftentimes that won't like make any sense. Like, I mean, in a way, thinking about like this podcast is my pandemic project. It was because I was working a lot in nonprofit and events, and then there's no more nonprofits or events.
Yeah.
What do you do? And like this was a creative pivot, but it's like I feel like this was a route that I never thought I would go down, and it's an unexpected pivot that is like I think brought so much joy and potentially so much Five Guys money to my life. Again, last chance, Five Guys. You're running out of time. Also, during this time, too, you have kind of gotten back into theater.
Yes. Well, that was the other I mean, this past year was kind of one of the wildest years of my life. So I started at the Parks, and then I've been sort of developing this play for years. So it started with Muppet Erotica. And I did it at a couple shows, different sort of stories from it. And then at like the third show of it, I was like, oh, I actually am going to do an auction of Miss Piggy's work as if she is a contemporary fine artist. And that will sort of be the glue in the vehicle to take us through these erotica spaces, her private life, her polycule with Kermit and the other Muppets. And so I sort of just kept getting deeper and deeper into this Muppet world. And then and then because it was, of course, I was auctioning off these paintings, I was doing these paintings of these Muppets, of these like, not to brag, gorgeous oil paintings that are just like random Muppets that don't exist. I really got myself deep in this world, and I feel like
You've maybe put more thought into what is going on with the Muppets than the Jim Henson Company in the past 10 years.
Yeah, I think certainly lately, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like they should maybe give me the rights. They are not doing anything with it right now. They are just chilling. They sold it to Disney. Disney's not doing a damn thing.
Disney doesn't seem to know what to do with any of the things that they spent billions of dollars on. So maybe they should start giving them out.
I agree. I think you should give the rights to me. I'm actively working on their private lives. So then I was working on that. So this summer I was like just a crazy person, just like either working with the elders or at the Parks or working on my play. And then my play also, I had so many cool collaborators. You know, my friend Hassan did all of this cool media stuff for me. Elizabeth and her best friend and my good friend Anna did a bunch of stuff. Our friends composed like beautiful new techno songs for me. There was so much cool stuff that came from it. We have such a beautiful village here. I'm like blown away by the work that people put into this silly play, but it really paid off. It was so fun. Everything came to fruition in a way I could I dreamt of, and it happened. It really was so wild. And the day of the play also was the day that I was accepted as the program manager. They called me up and they said, "You got the job." And I said, "What is going on today? This is the best day ever." And so it just like my life like really got better on September 20th of this year. And I mean, yeah, I'm so glad that it, you know, obviously I wish I had been doing theater more in the past 10 years since I moved here. And also like this was such a good first play. This was it. I'm so proud of it. Stay tuned. I will definitely do more dates. I just don't know yet.
I would absolutely love to see it. I mean, as a fellow Muppet fanatic,
I mean, we love the Muppets as a society.
If you are out there listening to this show and you don't love the Muppets, what are you doing?
Truly.
Honestly, there's a lot you could. I've always been a big advocate for that very weird Muppet show that ABC did that was like trying to be 30 Rock.
Oh,
have you seen that one?
I haven't. I've like seen little clips, but it delights me to no end. And they give up on the premise halfway through, and it just becomes a regular Muppet show. Funny,
which just like is such a meta. Like, they're trying to do a meta joke, and they're like, the most meta joke of all is just to pivot and just do what we've always done.
I mean, the Muppets have always had it right.
Yeah.
I've, obviously rewatched a lot of Muppets for research purposes in the past year.
They're a write-off, you see.
Yes, of course. And I'm always like, my God, they've been doing it this whole time. These jokes are so smart. I almost feel like I have no business in the Muppet business. They did it right the first time, but I will say, they don't really talk about their polycule much at all. And there's a lot to be discovered.
I think you would enjoy this 2013 ABC show because I feel like they do kind of go into because Kermit and Miss Piggy are broken up in the start of that show.
Yeah.
And Kermit is dating another pig.
That's right. Okay, yes, I've seen those clips.
Yes. It's interesting. It is interesting. But I feel like you've also done more lore building than maybe they have.
Well, I will say it's kind of one of those projects where you're like, I'm not in control. There is a source that is telling me this information, and I'm merely a vehicle for it to come out. Like some of this stuff I say, I don't know where this came from, but it must be said.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm happy to be the muse that the Muppets use.
Muppet Muse.
Yes.
That's
the drama.
Yeah, that's the alarm that means that the Muppets are on their way.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so it's good. That's the special Muppet alarm. Libby, if people want to find like more about you, where can they go to do that?
Yeah, you can go to Instagram and you can follow Libland. Or you can go to my website, LibbyLandauer.com, or you can come on into the Community for Positive Aging and check out what we got going on. Volunteer. We got a lot of cool stuff going on and some of the funniest people you'll ever meet. So I truly implore you. It is for elders, but it's an intergenerational space. And so come on down.
It sounds like a very positive community, not call back the name of the place.
It truly, truly is. I mean, we had a Halloween party, and the way that those people got down, I mean, they were going absolutely hog. It was so fun. I looked around and I said, this is the most fun party I'll go to this week, for sure. I've
kind of heard that about like retirement communities where it's actually a very like party centric.
Yeah. Well, and this is a day place. Like people don't live there. It's it's simply for activities and resources. So there's not people living there. There's just people partying. It's great. It's amazing.
You're basically running New York's hottest club.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Libby.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It was so fun.
I really appreciate it. And thank you out there to all the listeners. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell anyone and everyone you know about the show. I guess including Five Guys. I understand that Five Guys are now maybe possibly aware of the bit, but we'll see if I actually hear from them. If there's maybe somewhere else you'd rather hear the show, why not visit dididothat.design and check out all of the options. That's where you can find some images. Maybe they're good. Maybe they're really good that go along with each and every episode. And follow us on both Instagram and our brand new newsletter, which I desperately need to send out a new one soon-ish because I think it's been 2 months. So don't worry about getting spammed from my newsletter that I forget I have on a regular basis. This has been Did I Do That? I'm Sean Schumacher. And as we always say at the close of every episode,
Did I do that?
that's what we always say. Okay, bye!
But I brought some stuff. But then, it was funny. I was looking for something. I was like, I don't know. I don't have the pitch that goes wrong. I think they're all pitches that went wrong because I'm not a good businessman. At the end of the day, I shouldn't be near business.
I understand. This is the core problem with a lot of my pitches as well.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's not the design's fault per se.